Okay, everyone. Sorry for getting to this recap of round 4 so late. We've already started round 5. I have not updated my board as a result of round 5, but here is the round 4 recap. So, let's start actually with a tracker. I think I should start doing that instead of going over each region. So right now the score is 10-3. So the blowout continues against the Allies. They're getting creamed. The Central Powers did this turn pick up the minor cities, the 7 minor cities victory point as well. Those minor cities are Algiers, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, which is in Algeria, Baku, Bucharest, Kiev, Venice, Warsaw, and Ypres. So they've secured Belgium, as you can see. The points that they do have on the board here are the Black Sea point, which is clearly in their control, the Middle East oil point, China. They are winning the China point. As you can see, they have the most territories in China right now. They have Pacific colonies still, very much so. They've secured the Empire point, which they are at 92 on the tracker, which is the combined income of Austria-Hungary and the German Empire. At 92, they need 85, as you can see here in red, to get to the Empire point. The Allies are quite a bit behind on that. So they have the city of Belgrade, major city of Belgrade, Sofia, and then they have all 3 of the minor cities victory points. The Allies still have favorable trade. They have 3 territories over on the Western Front here, which are Aquitaine, Brittany, and Picardy, whereas the Central Powers only have 2. They still have the Russian Revolution point. They're still holding on, but it's only a matter of time before we lose that point, and we do still have the Africa point, but the Central Powers are giving us a hard time there as well. So, and this is just how the tracker is looking right now. So, yeah, Italy has gone down some, and they are getting convoyed, so Italy is in quite a bit of trouble. The Russians are down to 15 IPCs a turn. Their income has been cut more than in half from its starting income. The Ottomans are on the rise, tied with the Americans right now. France is still staying pretty par. The British are up a little bit. Austro-Hungarians up quite a bit. Germans up a lot. So, yeah, it's been a tough game for the Allies so far. I don't see it getting any easier. All right, let's start with the Eastern Front. So the Austro-Hungarians, they basically just consolidated in Western Ukraine from what I remember. Sorry, it has been about a week, and we did have a very slow turn this time. Everybody had quite busy schedules, so this round 4 went way slower than the first 3 rounds. But we're picking up the pace now on round 5. So yeah, they just basically hunkered down in Western Ukraine. Not a lot to report there on the Eastern Front, but they did attack Greece, which is the last territory they need for the Balkans point. So basically, if you want to go back to the tracker here, in round 5, they will have the Balkans point, and they will have probably the Western Front point and the major city of Verdun. So it's the point differential is going to get even bigger. But they did not manage to capture Greece, so Greece is still contested here. And actually, these should be Italian units, because if you attack a neutral power like Greece, which is not aligned to either side, then the side that's defending, so the Allies in this instance, would get to decide which major power those units would go to. So we all decided on Italy, and as you can see, the Greeks do have control of Crete here, so that becomes an Italian-controlled territory with an Italian infantry instead of Greek infantry. So that's how it looks right here. The Austro-Hungarians are building fighters now, which is lovely. And they've managed to take Venice here, the territory of Veneto. So the Italians are on full defensive right now. As far as the Germans on the Eastern Front, they pushed in their main army group into Karelia, creating an obvious wedge between central Russia and Ingria. And that they're also positioning that way for the Russian Civil War, which will happen. Which there are certain rules which are part of the setup, which make it a little bit more difficult for the White Russians if that's the case. What else happened here for the Germans? They secured Crimea a bit more, moved some units in the Volga. Took Finland. They lucked out with their transport here, brought it in, escaped the naval mines, and landed in Finland. They've got Estonia. But the Russians, they're scrappy. They managed to hold off the revolution for another round. So they got the amount of Central Power controlled Russian territories down below that seven territory threshold, and they were able to hold off the revolution for another round. The Russians, as you can see, moved the bulk of their main army group into eastern Ukraine. Built a lot of infantry and moved some fighters into Ingria because those German Zeppelins can start bombing Petrograd if they wanted to. So the fighters are sort of like a countermeasure to that. And yeah, and they also finally built the Trans-Siberian Railway. They completed it. So they get a $3 NO for that, and it allows them to rail 1 unit across the Trans-Siberian Railway, each turn. And friendly powers can use that too. So if Japan wanted to start, or America wanted to start moving units in there, they could start helping out a little bit. But Japan's got its work cut out for it right now. So I don't think we can start diverting resources. Okay, so in terms of round 5, I do have a spoiler I can give you. The Russian Revolution does not happen on round 5. So that is good. The Russians are playing quite a scrappy game. I love playing Russia, and it's great to see another player play as scrappy as I would. So it's really cool to see. Okay, so Western Front, Germans continue building fodder units, infantry, and just continuing this onslaught with France over Belgium, and they finally overcame it and took Belgium in force. So the French have backed down, and but they did get a trench works technology breakthrough. So they were able to upgrade their trench works that they currently had in Picardy and then place another in Burgundy. So they're preparing for what's coming. They have a decent-sized force here in Picardy with some British help landing off of French transports. So that's pretty cool, getting some help here. But I don't know if it's going to be enough when the Russians go down. So we'll see. The Germans dropped some more subs here in 21. So they're clearly trying to get us to divert our resources into more naval expenditures. But we do have a French fleet up here. The British are slowly rebuilding their Sea Zone 20 fleet. French cruiser did make its way down to 15 to break away from the combined Allied fleet. And the British have sent a transport to Canada to start getting some of those units ferried over to help with the Western Front. Okay, what else do we got here? We should move to Africa. That's usually what I do after that. So the standoff continues here between the Ottomans and the Allied forces in Egypt. Not any progress really made on this front here with the Suez Canal point. So whoever controls both of these territories, both Egypt and Palestine, has the Suez Canal point. So no one is making progress on this front, but it looks like the Ottomans do have time on their side. And geography right now because the Allies have so much to deal with. In terms of Africa, the Germans were able to bring an infantry over on a transport and land in Nigeria. The French and German infantry standoff here in Togoland resulted in a mutual kill. So whoever controlled the territory originally gets the territory, so it goes back to German control as opposed to being contested. Other than that, we have some German Navy here in 38, which knocked out a French transport. And the German cruisers that were, I believe they were in 36 originally. Or no, they were in 41 maybe. Can't remember. They moved to 44 to start threatening the British over here again by Anzac territory. Okay. And as you can see, things are getting harder in the Med for the Allies. The Austro-Hungarian and Ottoman fleets are growing and convoying Italy. So things are just getting harder and harder and harder for the Allies. Let's move over here. Nothing to report in India or the Middle East really this turn. Very quiet. The Ottomans just building up fodder units here in their capital. They sent some units down to Palestine and continued to help out the other Central Powers in Russia. So they have a decent-sized force here in Volga. They moved into Tatarstan. They do have backup forces in Caucasus. So if you have all 3 Central Powers coming at one power, you're going down. It's just a matter of when. So it's right now the name of the game is hold off the revolution as long as you can. Moving to Asia and the Pacific. The Japanese are in force here. I don't know why this dreadnought is in Carolina and it should be here. Maybe I scooted it over. They took Bismarck Archipelago away from the Germans, and then the 2 British transports that were built the previous turn in 61 moved up and took German New Guinea. So the Allies are in force here, trying to whittle down that Pacific colony's victory point for the Germans. Japan did build another cruiser and transport in 55, and the British built 2 cruisers in 61, so they're gearing up. But the Germans, they have quite a stronghold here in Qingdao, their prized colony in the Pacific. They have a minefields here and trench works with barbed wire. So that's going to be a nasty one to try and take. In terms of China, the Central Power aligned faction of China is currently winning. I'm trying to remember what happened here, but the Empire, the Allied faction, did retake Xikang and took Jiangsu, but they lost a huge chunk of their army in the battle for Shenxi, where the Central Power aligned side of China attacked first, and they got, I think it was 9 hits, which was absurdly high. So their luck with the dice continues there, and the bulk of the forces here in Chahar for the Allies. So it looks like China is probably going to go Central Powers, but you never know. The dice could swing in our favor this game. You never know. We're in the middle of the game right now. It could swing in our favor, so who knows. And lastly, America. America is gearing up. As you can see, they can only, while they're neutral, they can only move to sea zones where they have a territory adjacent to it. So Sea Zone 7 right here is technically a sea zone they can move to with their Navy. So they have Puerto Rico here. And they've got all their transports loaded, and they're geared up and ready to go somewhere. So America's chomping at the bit to get into this war because the Allies really need some help right now. Did I mention that the Austro-Hungarians took Algeria? I don't think I mentioned that. Maybe I did. Yeah, so they took Algeria, creating some problems for us. So that's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds. All right, guys, blabbing on too long, but round 5 is already commenced, and it's already looking to be an exciting one. So take care, everybody.